It shouldn't have took me this long to truly make this video. I've been trying to make it for the longest, but my sense of trying to make it this best production in the world, or even the aspect of trying to make sure I'm all together, whether it looks, whatever the case may be, has really stopped me from making this video, and I feel a type of way about it. This video is really kind of to give feedback as far as what's been going on with me for the past at least year or so, but I'm going to be tracing it back to 2021 because that's where a lot of it originated. It's one of those things where I'm finally getting a place where I can be myself all day, every day, even how I express it on the outside too. You will get to a better understanding myself, how I see certain things now, and also understand that even though my face may look mean or serious, understand that I'm coming from a place of lightheartedness. In a sense, I'm always going to be goofy at the end of the day, and just have a conversation with me. I promise you, I'm not going to feel no type of way. I'm not somebody who's going to hold a grudge, whatever the case may be, but I'm going to let you know how I see it. And I'm going to leave it at that. I don't expect you to see how I see it. I don't expect you to understand why I understand it that way. But at least at the end of the day, you can't say that you didn't have a conversation. So, yeah. So I'm not going to give too much background and stuff, but this is really for the people who know me, the people who kind of seen what I was leading into, and then also seeing my hiatus. 2021 was the time that my grandfather passed. A few other family members during that year as well, but my grandfather subconsciously hit me the hardest. Even in the midst of that time, I was trading and doing network marketing, and I was actually out of town with the team. And so when I found out, I didn't really show it. You didn't know unless I told you. And I kept doing what I was doing. Even up until this year, I truly understood that I never really gave closure to that, or I never really took time to find closure for myself. My grandfather is my confidant. He was my confidant. He was somebody who, if I had to have any type of conversation with him and get an unbiased opinion that I felt at the time was unbiased, whether I believed I can find that conversation elsewhere or not is beside the point. But with him, I always knew that our conversation would be some real stuff. Having that outlet for somebody who emotionally didn't connect with others as far as outwardly expressing my emotions like that, or just having conversations, and then to have that line of connection just cut off, it was something that I didn't know how to balance. I didn't know how to find that balance again. Leaving it unchecked for a minute also led to end of my past relationship, because emotionally I didn't know where I was. Even to the end of that relationship, that's not a blame thing or anything, but it's more so like, now in my space now, I fully understand my side of things and what I was incapable of doing. Not because I didn't want to, but emotionally, I was really emotionally unavailable in a lot of instances. And I didn't, like I said, I didn't understand that's exactly what it was. Being emotionally invested in that relationship too, and then for it to go down the way that it went down, added to my emotional emptiness, added to how I was just always looking for the next thing to preoccupy myself. Whether it was traveling, whether it was just going out, whatever the case may be. I think 2021 I was doing that a whole lot more. I was still in between Houston and California. My environment was constantly changing, so it gave me an outlet. And that outlet lasted for quite a long time. As 2021 progressed, like I said, I'm still an emotional, unstable mess. Somebody came along and was able to provide that emotional comfort and be physically present at the same time. Now, with that emotional comfort and physical presence, it took my mind off of everything, but it wasn't healthy. It wasn't, actually me looking for that in a mentally understanding place and understanding that that's what it is. I was just looking for comfort. I was looking for something that, whether it was really subconsciously looking for that comfort in order to continue moving forward and getting certain things done. As 21 continued to progress, that bond relationship started to grow in certain ways, even to the case where, like I said, I was so enveloped in the emotional, physical, that I didn't give any time to the mental and spiritual. It was so when I started getting sense of those things and understanding that there are some vital pieces missing, I didn't know how to balance it. I didn't know how to handle myself. Even, like I said, I was emotionally out of whack. And so for me, coming from that type of place and doing certain things and putting certain energies out there, the next person who receives that, they don't know what it is that they're truly receiving. See, I don't even know what I was giving them at a certain point. Having that go into that path, especially with that person, it continued because I was emotionally, physically comfortable, and I still didn't find that balance. It led into 2022. Now, 2022 is very, very interesting, to say the least, right? 2022 was the year that my son was born. Most of 2022, I was in a place of denial. Not in the aspect of son being here, but the aspect of how did I even get to that point in the first place. So you're talking about mentally and spiritually having to accept why I had to go through certain things. Why it had to happen to me in this moment of time, on top of other physical stuff I was dealing with outside of dealing with certain things with the house, certain situations, and really trying to still be the person that I was. And the one trying to make sure that everybody's good, the one making sure that as long as you happy, I'm happy type, that's who I was. I'm saying was for a reason. You take that in consideration, and then you take into account I have a whole child on the way. Not that I'm scared that I can't provide for him or anything or make sure that I can raise him properly, because I already knew from a while ago how I was going to raise my child. The aspects of even a father being in a child's life. My father experiences have gave me certain things and gave me certain understandings, which I'll go into a later date. But it gave me certain things to understand, like I know what I'm going to do. And I accepted that part. But it's still the aspect of accepting what all led to this moment. On top of that, 2022 was a year that I finally fully transitioned out of the corporate world. Into April, left Intel after 3 years. So that's adding more emotions leading into my birthday. May 6, 2022, I can say was the lowest mental position I've ever been in my life, because it was so many things that were going down that everything in the physical was overwhelming me. And that's the first time I can say I was truly overwhelmed. I've never been in a position where I felt like I couldn't get anything done or I couldn't make the next move or make the next decision. But that was the first time that I can say that I was truly overwhelmed. And it was a very negative time for myself because, like I said, finding the balance as to why I was in that position. Not what somebody made me do, not somebody else's fault, is because everybody has that choice. And so for me, it was getting to the point of accepting the choices that I made in order to get to that point. Took me a while. So you get that, and then you lead into a whole debacle of things because at this point, me and the mother of my child, it's not a relationship, but we still, like I said, me supporting as much to the best of my ability the pregnancy, and even still I wasn't in the best mental space, so that didn't get off the way that I intended it to. So it caused certain things and moved certain things certain ways and so on and so forth. And so any aspect of, from a male's perspective, about the pregnancy, the birth, postpartum, if you need insight, I got you. Because I've seen all the angles, all the fronts, and I see why a lot of men, when it comes to a child being born in this world, lose they shit. It is a whole bunch of emotions, feelings, physical stuff that no matter how much you think you prepared for, it can vary from person to person. You can have one woman who handles her pregnancy very well and it doesn't affect her as much. She might have a little bursts here and there. And then you might have another where every little small step or creak might set off something. So that spectrum and that range and understanding what it truly is and not making it personal from the father's perspective. Then you add that into the fray of 2022, boy. Right? So as I'm still learning about myself, accepting certain things, and then having to, because I made my choice to support the pregnancy and make sure, everything was good to the best of my ability. And then going to the end of 2022, car situations, house situations, new information that I'm learning and implementing, or at least attempting to implement, while still balancing everything else that's going on in my life. I was working double time. Lost a lot of weight, apparently. Definitely stressed out. So people who know anything about my hair, yeah, it's getting worse. So 2022 ending off was blessing in disguise. It had me accelerate a lot of things. It had me put certain things into perspective. It had me really make sure that I was moving forward with intention. So my son came into this world in October. So then coming into that place of seeing that in real time is an experience in and of itself. I think I'm going to just make a whole video on pregnancy experience because y'all men need to be prepared. So having that experience and knowing what I know and putting my son in positions where he has the best outcome in this world. And then going into postpartum. So once postpartum came, I was in a better mental space because I started to accept certain things now that my son was here. Seeing certain things, it made things a little bit easier and understanding. Now, you still dealing with the whole chemical reaction that's going on with the mother, her emotions all over the place. She essentially has 3 different energies inside of her: your own, her own, and the child's. So you're talking about my energy, which was all over the place, being a part of her energy, and she got her own thing going on. And then you have an October baby with his own energy. That's a lot of shit. So and then now it's time to really be the balancing act and understand certain things and really make things move a certain way, right? So then we go from that into 2023. 2023 started off as an interesting year, right? Very humble in certain ways, but also had me understanding that a lot of my fun is going to come in a whole lot of different ways than what I'm used to. Even going into February, the second week, was when everything clicked for me. Everything came to the place, the position of fully understanding why I got to this point, how I got to this point, why I was brought up in a certain way, so on and so forth. It all made sense. So as soon as February hit, I was seeing changes physically happen in the physical world. And certain things started to move the way that they need to. Got certain things back in motion. Starting to get back into the business flow. Because, end of 22, my business mind state was gone. Not that I didn't want to have that, but with everything else going on top of trying to balance it just wasn't working out the way that it needed to. Like I said, February come along, I'm in the best understanding space I've seen in a very long time. And being able to take that and move that forward into March, April, and now May, I'm very grateful. So now I'm in a position where, like I said, I rebranded Worldwide. Worldwide is all about international collaboration, partnering, strategic partnerships, giving people outlets to information, and just connecting the dots to and from, right? That's what Worldwide is here for. That's what I came to the conclusion. It's built from me originally just wanting to do photography and showing the world photography to, all right, how can we better connect one person to the next? Where I don't feel like I have to know and do everything. Not that I couldn't learn how to, but we're talking about realness, genuine connections, genuine partnerships, and especially partnering people who are really putting forth the effort and doing the work to make their vision seen, to make sure that they're heard, to make sure that what they got going on is reaching the right people. Worldwide being in that position to make sure that certain, courses, workshops, interviews, so on and so forth are in place so that when people want certain resources, they can just go to Worldwide and get access to it, whatever the case may be. That's where I'm at. You have that, and then you're doing certain things. It's just a wonderful experience. You go into my birthday, right? May 6, 2023. I can officially say that I'm in the best mental headspace ever. I'm in a position where I understand why certain things happen the way that they do. I'm in a position of understanding that at the end of the day, I have a choice. I'm in a position that when it comes to other people, they have their own choices, and their choice doesn't define me, right? As long as I am mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically backing every decision that I make, and I'm knowing those positions to be true. It doesn't matter what anybody else has to say, do, feel, think, whatever. Not that I don't consider it, not that I don't look at it and understand from their perspective, but their opinion, their decisions doesn't define me, and that goes for you too. Like, no matter what somebody says it does in this world, you have to make the decision whether you allow it to become your identity or not. You can be the best hockey player in the world. You can be the best artist, the best designer. Are you going to let that one critic tell you otherwise? Does that one critic take all the courses and classes and workshops that you took to get to where you're at? Or are they coming from their own perspective? You don't know what's going on behind the scenes. You don't know what they've been through. You don't know how good or bad that day was for them, that they just have to take it out on something or someone else that they don't know or feel inclined to talk about. It's a lot of different things that can happen. No matter what goes on in this world, no matter what goes on in life, you are in control of you, your own universe. You are in control of it. Nobody else. Energy is going to be thrown at you all damn day. You either accept the energy and then shift it into your own energy, or you redirect the energy and just allow it to flow on the outside, never intertwining with what you have going on. Or you can completely reject it. You have a choice. But if you don't make that choice, you got to understand that the energy is going to be present regardless. And that energy is going to start consuming you. And then you're going to find yourself in positions or scenarios or cases where, how did I get here? What happened? What made me get to this point? Like, those are things that are all because of your choice. You chose not to deal with something. You chose to let it wait from the wayside for however long, whatever the case may be. Those are your choices. And because you made that choice to sit idle, the energy made the choice for you. How many times have you sit and waited and expecting a certain outcome, but because you didn't move the energy, you got the entirely opposite outcome? It can be even as simple as you not speaking up when your food order is wrong. Your whole experience about that restaurant might be off because you chose not to speak up about it. And who knows? That next dish that they brought out could have been the best dish ever. Could have shifted your entire mood. But because you made the choice not to shift that energy and correct it or even redirect it, the energy consumed you and then created your emotional responses. Now you think that restaurant is 2 out of 5 stars, 1 out of 5 stars. The people don't care, blah, blah, blah. But what choices did you make before you got to that point? It hits different when you understand that everything in life is a choice. You can choose how certain events affect you. You can choose what people you allow around you. You can choose how you move your own energy. And you can still have love for everybody. That's the biggest thing I learned. I can still have love for somebody, but I don't have to be around them. I can understand what somebody's going through, but I don't have to directly be the problem solver. Does it feel good for everybody when you come out and say that? No, because they're not in a position of truly understanding why that is, or they don't want to. Different perspectives in that too. But for me, I'm in a place and position now where it's not about people pleasing. It's not about making sure people good before I'm good, or people good while I'm getting better. If our energies are meant to resonate, it resonates without having to force anything. I got people now that we can just have simple conversations and it just flows. It's nothing forced. It's not trying to make something more than what it is. But because we have certain ideologies or certain, things that resonate with each other, those things we connect on and we make sure we make them work. That's just what it is. That's what all types of relationships are with people. How well does your energy relate or resonate with the next person? Whether romantic, whether friendship, whether associates, whether, work friendship, whatever, work associates, whatever. How well does your energy resonate with their energy? Once the dissonance starts happening, you have to understand why there is dissonance and not being afraid to have a conversation. Okay, I see that we're butting heads on at this point because of this. What does that look like? Why is this happening? What can we do to ensure that, hey, we're going to have our own beliefs and opinions on it, but at least when it comes to making certain decisions, we know that we can make at least these decisions. And if it's not meant to align, it just doesn't align, and y'all leave it at that, but don't make it more than what it is. Because then that person's energy has control on you now. You're going to be thinking about it every day. You're going to wish you did something different. I wish I can get back. Your energy's done for at that point. So for me, it's like I'm in such a, I don't even want to call it blissful, but I'm in such a real flow that ain't much gonna really bring me down, if anything. Now, I ain't gonna say that I'm just emotionally in tune like that, but I am emotionally in tune. I might have moments where I might be pissed off for a few minutes and something of that nature, but it doesn't last long. As soon as I correct myself, I move energy in the way that I need to, whether it's getting certain tasks done, moving certain things, or going doing some Wiggum shit, right? Just really getting back into my flow of being myself. And my true self is really somebody who cares for others, makes sure people have certain things, but doing it from a position that no matter what I put out there, it's still up to that person to make a choice whether they want to receive it or implement it or whatever. I'm not here to get you to a certain solution. I'm here to provide the opportunity for you to get to the solution. I can't do it for you. I'm not going to do it for you. But you can't say that I wasn't there to provide you certain things, provide you certain insight, certain solutions that may be foreign to you, but with the right work ethic, with the right ability to zoom out and understand perspectives outside of yourself, it can make a whole lot of difference, right? So that's one of the main things, right? I am going to truly start doing more of. You'll start seeing more for myself is some of the resources, some of the things that I do or that I did to get to this point. Because like I said, I have a whole bunch of resources to give and a whole bunch of opportunities to give out too. Talk about that at a later date, but really want to make sure that I put this out there to ensure and show people that, hey, you're going through a lot here, but also understand that just because you're going through a lot doesn't mean the next person isn't going through more than you neither. And I'm not using what I was going through as an excuse not to still be myself and not to put certain things out there because I'm so embodied by things that at this point are happened already. Can't control, can't go back and reverse it. So why am I going to sit here and dwell on it? Like I said, I definitely need to do my hair, line up, so on and so forth. But outside of that aspect, does that stop the value of information? Does it stop how I can present it to you? No. So here I are, raw and uncut, getting the value, getting my story for the past 2 years because, it's just certain things that I am controlling the storyline of. I want to ensure that people understand that somebody just like me might be going through the same thing but don't feel comfortable enough to talk about it. Or it might open up the opportunity to understand, like, hey, there's people going through worse than what he's dealing with, but he provided it in a way that can allow me to at least start telling my story or bringing to the forefront how somebody else can benefit from my story. There's a lot of different things. So hope this information took you well. Hope you understand how things are going now. Almost having an 8-month-old is pretty interesting to say the least. Seeing the journey of a child is the funniest thing to me. Not in, like, when I say funny, it's because of the aspect of you are getting a inside look to how their character is being built. Their own tendencies, what they see, what they do, how they imitate certain things. And I'm a firm believer that a child is a mirror for everybody, not just the parents, especially the parents, but anybody's close to the parents, whatever the case may be. A child is a mirror. The child is going to show you certain things that either you accept or you've already accepted or you don't, and it's things you got to deal with. A child can trigger certain things of your past that you didn't even know was still present. But how do you handle it when it presents itself? Are you going to blame the child? Are you going to deny it? Or are you going to actually explore why it's still a trigger? Doesn't mean it's the easiest thing in the world. Doesn't mean it's just going to flip that switch overnight. It takes work. I'm grateful that amidst everything I was dealing with, I was still putting in certain work to get myself in that position of a mental understanding. Because if it wasn't for that, I can honestly say that last year would have been a very interesting year, and not in a good one. Hope this information took you well. Like I said, be on the lookout. As I said, I think I'm going to really have to talk on from the men's perspective and father's perspective about, before, during, after, pregnancy, leading up to the birth, postpartum, and even, like I said, postpartum doesn't just end in 6 to 9 months. It might start clearing up certain things, but I'm already seeing that postpartum is something that can last quite a while, whether you know it or not. Even the aspects of co-parenting, right? Some of the trials and tribulations that you may have to discuss, talk about, understand for yourself, and understand what you are and are not willing to do for the sake of your child. That's a serious thing there. Because put pride aside, it's still a choice. It may not feel good for your pride, but at the end of the day, you're talking about a being that can't take care of themselves right now. Gotta do what you gotta do. So, like I said, my understanding of the world, very different, but very grateful to be where I'm at. I hope, like I said, hope y'all take this in. Any questions, don't be afraid to ask me. And yeah.